All right, I think we'll go ahead and get started. We have a couple more people that I think will be joining us, and we'll just let them kind of trickle in. A couple of room things before we start. Just please be careful, the doors are glass, so just be aware when they're closed. We've had people look down and walk through them, so please just be careful and know that they're back there and that they're closed. The other thing, the bathrooms, if you walk out the room and go right to your left, the bathrooms are right there. Feel free to get up at any point if you want to get up and stretch. If you need to go to the restroom, feel free to excuse yourself. We don't have a break worked in. We'll have a little bit of interactive time, but feel free to take care of what you need to take care of. Okay, so we will get started. Everyone has their lunch. You picked up the slides and the packet from the beginning, the training, and we'll talk about that other sheet with your center name as we get a little bit more into it. So I know most of you, all of you I think, and most of you know me. So I'm Sarah Rothenberg. I am an instructor of pediatrics here at UVMS, and I am the program director for the HALO program. HALO is Healthy Alternatives for Little Ones, if we haven't already drilled that into your heads enough. Kristen Dunn is standing over here, and you probably have had a lot of contact with. She is the program coordinator for HALO. She has been the person running all of the day-to-day logistics and programming, everything having to do with HALO. Miss Kristen is going to be leaving us this week to pursue her PhD at ODU, so we're very, very excited for her and also slightly heartbroken, but our very capable and wonderful project staff, Tiara Langley, she's the coordinator for a different program right now, so Tiara will step into the role of HALO program coordinator. So Tiara will be your new point of contact. Some of you have dealt with Tiara with different programs, with the Healthy Kids program. So moving forward, kind of after this training, Tiara will be your new contact, and obviously me, I haven't gone anywhere. Okay, so without further ado, I wanted to just let everyone in the room introduce themselves. I want this training to be as interactive as possible, so if you have questions, if you want to share things between your centers, feel free to have some discussion during the training. But I just wanted to start, tell us your name, what site you're at, what center you are, where you're located, and what your role is at the center. Let's start with you, Ms. White.
Of course. My name is Ariana. I teach at Hampton University's Child Development Center, and obviously that's on Hampton University's campus, and I teach pre-K, so I teach their 3.5 to 5-year-olds. So I get them ready for kindergarten, and then I send them off.
Awesome. And I'm Tiara Langley, as Sarah introduced. I am currently on the Healthy Kids project and program, which encourages preschool to adopt best practices for nutrition and physical activity, but I'll be transitioning to HALO. So, nice to meet you all.
Nice to meet you. I'm Shaniqua Como. I'm called Shay, makes it easier for the kids and everyone else. But I'm at Learn From Me Academy, the Mount Trashmore site, teacher of preschool, the older 3s and 4s.
Greetings, hello.
I'm Naveen Fortune. I'm the program director of the Preschool Academy at Norfolk State University.
Oh, what's a Norfolk State?
Sorry, I'm late. So I literally had to squeeze through the band, to get to the parking lot to exit campus. So I hope I didn't hold anyone up.
No, not at all.
Hello, I am Tiki Perkins. I am from Children's Harbor. We have a couple of locations, but I'm from the Chesapeake one, and I am the senior director there.
Luz Padilla Behar, director with Children's Learning Paradise. We're right off Laskin Road, and we're by the middle school.
Mr. T. I'm at Children's Learning Paradise as well, and I work with the 3, 4, and 5-year-olds.
Thank you. It's cool to have you guys all here because I've gotten to see your centers and see you in your classrooms, and I know you by like Miss Shay and Miss White and Miss T, and so it's nice to hear you in your full capacity too. Okay, so just for those of you that don't know, it's been a while since we did the HALO kickoff, so just to reiterate, HALO is a 3-year initiative. It's funded here at UVMS with the Consortium for Infant and Child Health, or CINCH. It is funded by the Virginia Foundation for Healthy Youth. So they have funded the program for 3 years. We are the ones going out and implementing the funds, obviously with you all in partnership. So it's an evidence-based holistic health prevention and promotion curriculum for 3 to 6-year-olds. And we've really made a push to do it only with more mature 3s and 4s. We found that the 3s that are not so mature, or 2s just turning 3, really aren't absorbing it as well. So really right in that mature 3 to 6-year-old range is where we like to stay. And HALO is evidence-based. It's recognized by the National Registry of Evidence-Based Programs and Practices, as well as SAMHSA, or the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration federally. So we know that it's a program that works in the community. We know it's a program that has some teeth and is able to be sustained in a community. So really the point of HALO is to enhance those social and emotional skills that we're trying to build in preschoolers. So we want to be able to enhance, hey, come on in, these skills early on so that we can prevent tobacco and substance abuse going forward. So we want them to feel like they have the skills to make healthy choices as they grow up and as they become adults. So it teaches them to grow stronger, bigger, stronger, and better able to think, which the song that is probably stuck in your head teaches you. And interestingly enough, we know that kind of those gimmicky songs really stick with people. If you think of a Coca-Cola song, or you think of different things on the radio and you remember that phone number for that steam cleaner guy, because those things really stick in your head. So we're hoping they stick in the kids' heads as well, and that they can remember those lessons that they learned as they go forward in life. So we know that HALO emphasizes healthy versus harmful instead of good and bad, so we think it's really important to talk about healthy choices and harmful choices so they know that they can make either choice, but they know which one is going to help their bodies get bigger, stronger, and better able to think. It talks about how their body organs work so they can have an understanding of the science and the physiology behind that, and it also talks about how those choices are going to affect their bodies as well as their mental and social health as well. So we really try and integrate the concepts of their physical body and their social and emotional well-being and get them to understand those concepts really early on in childhood. And by doing so, we hope that we are empowering them to then go out and continue to make healthy choices with that building of knowledge and confidence that they've gotten through HALO and through the other lessons that they're learning in your early education, early care curriculums. So the CINCH program specifically, so HALO is a nationally recognized program. We are implementing it here at CINCH. It is designed to be sustainable and have more long-lasting impacts. So we are pairing the direct education with the kids with some policy initiatives and policy changes, which some of you have noticed probably at your center. So we have different representatives from different cohorts in this room. So some from the very beginning of HALO when we started last September, and some of you who are just finishing the summer cohort, or the third cohort of HALO. So those of you that started the first one, you've gone all the way through the policy changes. So you presumably potentially have written policy in place that makes your center a tobacco-free area. We've put up signage at your center, if we were able to do so, that says we're a tobacco-free site, young lungs at play. So you are really creating policy changes that are going to cue the people around you to say, this is an area that promotes health. This is a health-focused environment, and it's not a place where I should be smoking. We don't want the children exposed to any sort of tobacco here in this area. So it really just kind of helps to elevate your center in this healthy promotion area. So in addition to the policy piece, we're obviously doing staff trainings like this. We did a tobacco training, which is online and you're able to view at any point. And then the center assessment, which informs where we need to go in terms of your policy. So we do a pre-assessment, what policies do you have in place, what posters, educational materials, trainings, and then we try and fill in those gaps where we can, creating recommendations, and then ultimately doing a post-assessment at the end to see, okay, how many changes actually took hold? What did we actually affect here? We try and provide as many resources, signage, posters, educational materials along the way as we possibly can, and as you can. I will kick it to Kristen, and she will go through the HALO kit, what exactly comes in it, and how it works for each of the lessons.
Yeah, so this is our lovely little HALO kit that we just got delivered recently for you all. So inside each of the kit, the biggest thing is your curriculum kit. This has the one-stop shop for all of the lessons, activities, parent letters, all the information, background materials as well that you will need to successfully be able to implement HALO. So you'll see the lesson, it goes over a focus, the overview, the objective, gives you specific points to talk about throughout the lesson, and then also activities that are recommended. There's 2 activities usually recommended for each lesson, and then there's additional activities at the end of each lesson that you can incorporate throughout the week in your classrooms as well. So teachers, hopefully you'll enjoy this, having extra lesson plans to supplement throughout the week. So this is the main thing from the curriculum. The next thing is, let's see what's on my thing, the Bonita Bunnies Guide to Assessment. So these, you've seen us come bring these in and read the short story with them. We'll talk more about this later, but the short story is all right here for you in this book. Next, we have the healthy and harmful recognition cards. And so there's an array of different cards in here. Some are healthy, some are harmful, and these can be incorporated into every lesson that you have, usually through a thumbs up, thumbs down, this is what's healthy, this is what's harmful, or to reinforce the talk times for the specific things that you're looking at during that lesson. And Sarah's going to talk more about those. Next, we have the anatomy apron or the organ apron, and yours will look like this, so there is some assembly required, but it's a life-sized apron that the kids can put on. It has Velcro so that they can attach the different organs. So we've got the heart, the lungs, all the different organs are there for them. And the kids really, really love this because they all want to turn to wear the little apron. So that can be a great resource for you as well. The next thing is a little feeling spinner, which I actually already took out. So it has happy, mad, sad, and scared on it, and we'll talk about this in a few minutes when we're talking about those specific lessons. You also get a stethoscope. The kids really like this as well, but it's part of the lessons and the activities when you get to it. And they can listen for their heartbeat, listen for their lungs. The younger kids have a harder time finding those things, but it is there for them to help learn. You'll also get a CD with the Halo music on it, so if there's a CD player that you can use, all the songs are on there. So the Healthy Makes Us Bigger song that the kids remember, it's on there as well. And there's a lot more songs that you maybe haven't heard but can be incorporated, and the program guide would tell you which songs go with which of the lessons. And then you'll also get a packet of certificates that say the certificate of there's not going to be enough for all of your kids in these lessons. I think they come with 25, but there are ways for you to be able to print more of these and create one for each of the children. So that is what you will get in your Halo kit, straight from the source of Heartland, who are the creators of this. And then you get a nice little bag to keep it all together. Each center will get one of these kits, and so if there's multiple classrooms that you're teaching in, we just ask that you share that kit among the different classrooms. You know, if someone's going to teach it at 10 and then someone at 11, or someone teaches Monday, someone Tuesday, and you'll be able to share those resources so that all of the kids are able to experience the program. So any questions about the kit, what comes in it? We'll talk a lot more about how to use it in the coming days, but just wanted to show you that first off. Awesome. So next, we're just going to dive into the curriculum. Halo is 12 units. Most units have about a 30-minute lesson in them. Some have up 2 to 4 lessons as well, just depending on the topic and what's going on in that unit. Most of the time, you can get Halo done in about 30 minutes, but there's additional activities that can be reinforced throughout the week. So if you teach Halo on Monday, maybe do an activity on Wednesday and make sure that you're tying it back to what you've done on Monday so that the kids are making that connection that this is what we talked about in Halo and this activity goes with what we were talking about. So buckle up for the next few minutes. We're going to be going through all 12 lessons. This first slide just goes over the lessons. It kind of shows you how Halo is broken up. So units 1 through 3 focus on self-concept and self-esteem. It talks about I am special, I can, and families. Because we know that children that have a better self-concept and higher self-esteem are able to make healthy decisions later in life. And the family is a key part of this, whether good or bad. They can help build up that self-esteem. And as children gain self-awareness and social skills, they'll help support healthy life into adulthood. The next 3 units, so 4 through 6, are focused on social and emotional competence. It talks about communication, their feelings, and how to communicate and express appropriately their feelings. So these help them identify and understand different feelings and be able to express them healthy. And kindergartners, we know, with higher social and emotional competence are better able to adjust to school, achieve more, and receive better grades. So we really want to make sure that they're understanding these different social and emotional skills. Units 7 through 9 dive into making healthy choices. So it talks about their healthy bodies, no harmful drugs, and drugs are dangerous are the 3 different lessons within that. And so it helps children identify different parts of their bodies, what is healthy for their bodies, what is harmful for their bodies, and why they should want to make those choices. And then it also talks about things that are dangerous for their bodies, so things that they should never be touching, never be putting into their bodies. And then obviously you could see that drugs and misuse of medication is also a key part of that. The Unit 10 is about resilience, so it talks about stress management and relaxation, because drugs are often used as a way to manage stress. So we want to make sure that we're showing the children how they can manage stress and high emotions without using drugs or alcohol as a way to kind of subdue those things. And the last 2 units are healthy lifestyles, so it talks about healthy eating and physical activity. Children who are overweight have lower self-esteem, lower self-confidence, and that can continue into adulthood. So we want to make sure that they know how to keep their bodies healthy even from a very young age. So now we're going to look at each unit individually. So we'll start with Unit 1, and this is the I Am Special unit. So the child will be able to state that they are a very special person and able to recognize things that are harmful for children. So this is the first lesson, an introduction to HALO. So the key points is that it introduces a positive self-concept and acceptance by others. And the children will understand what makes them alike and different from each other, and that just because they're different doesn't make one better or worse than one another. So just really trying to bring to attention how we can all be different, and that makes us each special. So one thing that you can do with the kids is these little who am I faces. So we encourage the children to color in the faces how they see themselves, how they look, so that each one is unique. So, mine would have brown hair and blue eyes, but everyone's would look a little bit different. Sometimes we, especially with the younger kids, we get some purple hair and blue. So try to guide the kids with your discussion to help them really truly identify what they truly look like. And then a way to enhance that is you can also bring mirrors, or if you have a mirror in your classroom, and have them look and describe themselves, and then use this activity as a way for them to, kind of put that into paper is what they've seen. There's also an I Am Special song, which that's going to play in the video, so I'll let them sing it for you. I won't make you all sing it right now. But it just reinforces, again, the songs. The kids love them. They take them to heart. So that special song is a great way to kind of kick off HALO in a good way to build their self-esteem. The next unit is I can. So the objective is that each child should be able to complete the sentence, I can blank. So whether that's I can help mom in the kitchen, I can tie my shoes, I can cut my food, I can zip up my jacket. There's all sorts of things that children are able to do. So they begin to, again, build their self-esteem by understanding the things that they are able to do now that they couldn't do when they were babies or even a year ago. So really just acknowledging their efforts, even if they're not perfect at everything right now, which none of them are, but acknowledging when they try new things and are working on practicing new skills. Because lower self-esteem is linked with lower ability to learn, and those who have higher self-esteem are more willing to try new activities. So we want to be encouraging them to grow and develop even at a very young age. So one of the activities we like to use is the I Can book. So for the older kids, allowing them to draw a picture of something that they can do. And for the younger kids, maybe having a few different drawings of things that they can do that they can color, because sometimes they end up with know what they're trying to communicate to them. And then you can write the sentence, I can, whatever it is. So if it's ride a bike, I can roller skate, I can dance, you can fill in those sentences for them and help. And then you can put that into a nice little book and have that in your classroom for parents to come see or for kids to look at after the fact. So that's a great way to kind of bring it all together. And then I like to read that book to them at least one other time throughout. And then the kids get to see, you know, Aiden can do this, and they get excited to see their picture and the thing that they can do. So it's a good way to bring that all together. Another thing is the I Can bingo. In the book, it comes in a 4x4 square, and instead of bingo, it's ICAN, so I can. But one thing we've done is we've modified it, and so we made it into a little 3x3, just can bingo instead of I can. So this is a way that you can modify it, especially if you have a bigger class or a younger class especially, just so that their attention span and focus can last. It's a little bit easier with only 3x3 than the 4x4, and especially if they've never played bingo before, having a little bit smaller of a board can help. So there are ways for you to modify it and make it work for your classroom. Okay. Unit 3 is about families, so each child will be able to identify the members of their family, both the ones that are right there in their home and then also their extended family, and also to understand their value, what they bring to their family. So what we try to teach them is some families are big, some families are small, but I love my family most of all. And so just like the first unit, every family looks a little bit different. No two families are exactly the same. And so again, just because one family looks one way and one looks another way doesn't mean that one is better or worse than the other. It's just different. So it teaches them about the basic family unit, those people that are related to one another and joined by love. And parents and other caregivers, they're the first people that kids are being molded by. Their language, their mannerisms, these things are often taught by their parents. So families are important and they remain important in a child's life. So just trying to help the children realize what they bring to their families and also things that they're learning from their families as well. One thing we've done with the kids, this is not in the Halo book, but we created little popsicle stick families of the people that are in their house. And so this gives you a good time. Some of you probably know the kids better in some circumstances, but for us coming in on the outside, it gave us a chance to talk to each child. Who lives in your house? Do you have a mom? Do you have a sister? Do you have a dog? And the kids got to tell us about the families that were living at their house. And then we would encourage them to color their house, you know, something that looks like their house, and if they an activity that they like to do with their family. So this one can be kind of a progressive activity. You start with the people in the house, you color the house, and then you can talk about the different activities. So that is one of the things for family. And then another thing is the treasures from the past. And we would have loved to do this if we had a little bit more time, but if children are able to bring in something that's special or important from their family or their family's legacy, and it could be a great way to bring in different cultures, to see different backgrounds of where children are coming from, and can really bring some interesting conversations as well as you incorporate that. But you'll definitely need some parent involvement on that one, but I think it is really important to see all the different families and what makes them unique. Yeah. Unit 4 is about communication. So each child will be able to listen while others are talking and tell about an activity or an experience and then following directions. So this unit, what we really try to help them understand is that communication is important for them to be able to share what they're feeling, what they might need from someone, and that it's important to talk when it's your turn to talk and listen when it's your turn to listen. Because if we all sat here and we're talking, no one would be able to hear each other. So trying to help them realize, okay, you've got to stop talking in order for someone else to be able to talk. So one way that we did that was with these little telephones. And the kids, they don't really understand the landlines anymore because everyone has a cell phone, so the phones are no longer connected like this. But it does help display that if we're both talking into here, no one can hear me. But if I'm talking and you're listening, then we can communicate and then we can take turns. And so showing that, you know, even on a cell phone, you do have to take turns because one person is talking and one is listening. Otherwise, you're missing the whole conversation. And if no one's talking, then you're just listening and sitting there in silence. So this is a good way for the kids to practice. You can have them talk about their day, something they did over the weekend. There's lots of different ways for you to incorporate this activity. Or you could have them play a game where they tell someone something that's healthy and they have to repeat it back or something. So this is just a good way to show them one person talks, one person listens, and that's how we communicate. The other activity is a pass it on is what they call it. I called it telephone growing up, but where they sit in a circle and they pass along a message. So you start saying apples are healthy and they pass it along and see what you end up with. One thing that we had that happened with this is there was always someone that would mess it up on purpose. So if you said the blue elephant did something, then all of a sudden you have the polka dotted kangaroo just for fun. So try to just, incorporate it, encourage them to pass it on in some way, shape, or form, to try to show that you have to be careful to listen, and if you miss something, then the message can get messed up at the end, and there's going to be a misunderstanding there. So that's communication, which sets up nicely into the next ones, which are feelings, because communicating feelings is an important thing for the children to learn to be able to do that appropriately. So there's 4 feelings that Halo talks about. So they split them up into Unit 5 and Unit 6. So Unit 5 focuses on happiness and sadness, and Unit 6 is mad and scared. And they each have their own kind of a mini lesson in there for each of the emotions. So 2 and 2 is how it's traditionally split up. What we've done is we've combined them. So it's still split up in your book, but we've generally taught them all at one time. So we talk about happiness, sadness, anger, and scared. So then we introduce each of those feelings, and then we used the 2 weeks to kind of reinforce them. So the first week we talked about all the different feelings, what it looks like to be angry, what it feels like to be sad, practicing the expressions on their face. So show me your angry face. They really like to do that. And just help them learn about what that might feel like. So you might feel overwhelmed with sadness or overwhelmed with anger and not know what to do. But these are some things that you can do, is really what the lesson is teaching. And then what we would do, so that would be week 5, we would usually do that. And then the next week we would come back, review all of the things that you talk about, but then incorporate some of the different body parts into it as well. So you can talk about how the heart might race when you're angry because you're just so upset. Or your lungs, you might start breathing heavily if you get really sad because you're starting to cry, so you're going to start heaving, so you can incorporate the lungs that way. And then the brain is their boss. And so your brain is what tells you to smile when you see a cat or a dog that you love. It tells you to smile, or it tells you to be sad if someone does something to hurt your feelings. So incorporating that the brain is in charge of all of these different emotions and the way that you communicate them, whether good or bad. So what we've done with those is we have created these little paper plates that have the inside out characters on them. So you have happy is joy, there's sadness, there's mad or anger, and then there's scared, which I don't know if he has a name, but the kids generally have all seen this movie, so they get really excited about seeing the different characters, and it's a good way for them to connect what they've seen in the movie to what's in real life. But we've used these plates in a lot of different ways. Sometimes I would hand them out and say, okay, tell me about a time, if you got the mad plate, tell me about a time that you were mad. What has made you angry? Or tell me about a time that made you happy. And then as you progress, you can say, okay, so what did you do when you were angry? Did you stomp your feet, or did you take a few deep breaths? And try to help them to realize appropriate ways to handle their anger. And these can be good conversation starters as to what makes us feel this way. And especially with the sadness and the mad, sometimes those are kind of mixed emotions. So one child might say, oh, that made me sad, and another one might say angry, and they can both be right. So helping them realize that sometimes you feel different ways in the same situation as well. You can also use this little feeling spinner, which is what was included in your kit. So you can have the kids spin it. This one's kind of wonky because I'm holding it, but they can, show you, again, the same things with the plates, talk about what makes them scared, talk about what makes them angry, but this just kind of randomizes the whole process for them. And so that can be incorporated in lots of ways as well. Okay, so we're about halfway through, so we'll just keep on trucking. Unit 7 is about, I didn't go all the way. Unit 7 is about healthy bodies and healthy choices. So this is the unit that really begins introducing the different organs. And so there's actually 4 lessons in this one. But like I said before, sometimes we would use the brain lesson as part of the week before when talking about the feelings. So it'll make more sense when you have the curriculum book in front of you when you see these different lessons. But you can do what's best for your center in regards to that. So this apron is our kind of the star of this unit. So it talks about all of the different organs that they have there. So we've got your heart, your lungs, let's see if I can put it together real fast, your liver, let's see, stomach, intestines are there, and then the kidneys go on the back. So it just shows all of their little life size, so you can have a kid stand up there with this and practice it. So the first time you show it, you want to make sure that you're talking about each of the organs in depth, and the curriculum goes through how to explain those. We've also created little brains. These are not in your kits, but it's just a little felt and a small headband, and so the kids can put that right on their heads and remind them that the brain is their boss of their body. So there's a few different things that you can do to help them to kind of make these connections. So, wanting to share that their heart is about the size of their fist. And yes, it does look like this, not like the little heart shape that they're all used to. They're usually surprised the first time they see it. But it's about the size of their fist, and it's beating in their chest. It goes faster if they get really excited or they're running around, and it can slow down when they're really calm. The lungs, you can use a little balloon. Let's see if I can blow this up. So when I breathe in, my lungs fill up like a balloon, and when I breathe out, they go down and they're not full of air anymore. So showing them what that really looks like for their lungs, because they can see their chest moving up and down, but sometimes the balloon just helps them to see it a little bit better. The other thing is the liver and kidney. So the liver and kidney they help clean the body. So the liver helps clean the blood, and then the kidneys help clean like the drinks and things that you're consuming. So one way that you can show them is, I have modified it here, but you can have 2 separate containers with clean sponges to start, one with plain water and one with colored water. And so when you put a plain sponge in plain water, it comes back out looking exactly the same. So that's our liver and kidneys in a healthy body. So they can see, okay, there's not changing, it's good, it's able to do its job well. But if you put it in the dirty water, so that would be if you're eating unhealthy consistently, if you're taking drugs or even some medicines, when you put that clean sponge in there, it gets ruined. It takes on the things that are harmful for our bodies. So we want to show them, like, this is what we want. Can happen if you're doing things that are harmful. So that again just helps them to see it. You can have each kid have a different sponge and play around with that, or just show them as like a little demonstration, kind of like I'm doing now. But that helps just get those concepts in their heads. The last one on this is little crackers to show the stomach. So usually when we eat crackers, when we chew them, we get them broken up a little bit. And then we're able to swallow, and they go into our stomach. So then we have our stomach have a little bit of juice in there, so we'll just pour some water right in there. And then our stomach helps us to digest, so that's what it's squishing around, all the different food that we put into it. So they really like to see this. It gets a little gross, but it helps them to see what happens in the stomach. They'll help remember that it's digesting, it's squishing it up your food, and this doesn't really look like the crackers I ate anymore, but this is what's happening to our food. So it's going down and getting squished. There's lots of juices in there, and that's called digestion. So they can see that firsthand, the digestion piece. So those are different ways to it does help them learn to understand the different concepts of them. And then we like to use this organ apron pretty much every lesson here on out as a way to reinforce the different and say, talk about the heart, talk about the lungs, just quickly, what does your brain do? Okay, it's the boss, good job. Where does it go? Puts it on their head. Where do your intestines do? Great, put it on there. So you can use it. We also have, I'll like lay the different pieces down, face down, and have them come pick one up randomly. They usually can tell what they're picking up beforehand because they're all different looking. But you would be surprised at how much they enjoy this apron and how much they truly do learn from that repetition and continual practice of it. So the goal is that as they understand how their bodies work and what the different parts of their bodies are, that they'll want to keep those healthy. And so from here on out, that kind of is what the main focus is on, is how to keep the body that we have healthy and make good choices so that we can be our best self and grow bigger and stronger and better able to think. So those are lots of the organ demonstrations, and that's usually part of Unit 7. About healthy choices and no harmful drugs. So children identify that drinking alcohol, smoking, or using drugs is harmful for their body, and that they should say no to these harmful things, and that they don't need drugs or alcohol to feel silly or to have fun. So the key points in this lesson are that they should be able to differentiate between healthy and harmful substances, and that drugs and alcohol are always harmful for children, even if adults might say that it makes them feel good or makes them feel relaxed or silly sometimes. And then they can also identify ways that drugs and alcohol harm their body. So they're learning that drinking alcohol is harmful for the liver. So they're putting those connections together between the drugs and how it's harming their body. So one thing you can do in this is have the organ hokey pokey. It's in your book, but you can put the heart in, the lungs in, the brain in and out. And it only has a few of them in there, but you can make up some, like the kidneys I don't think are in there, but you could put 2 fists behind your back and have them put that in as well. So just be creative with it. A lot of times I would do it in 3 quick succession, back-to-back times, and so the first time we would be normal, the second time we would try to go a little bit faster, and then the third time I'd get them as quiet as we could, and then that kind of toned it back down for me to end the lesson on that. So and that can be a good way to practice and reinforce the different body parts as well. And then there's a healthy choices, healthy organs activity, and that again goes over how this healthy substance will help my body and how this harmful substance will specifically harm my body. So putting those 2 and 2 together, and then encouraging them to make the healthy choices when they can. Unit 9 is healthy choices, drugs are dangerous. And so at face value, the 2 lessons, 8 and 9, sound very similar. But Unit 9 really focuses on a danger and a do not touch message. So this is where the needles are incorporated, medicines that aren't theirs or that are theirs are incorporated as like a do not touch message, and really emphasizes that you might see a needle for a shot at the doctor's office, and that's okay if the doctor is giving it to you, but if you see a needle anywhere else, you should not be touching it. And even at the doctor's office, you shouldn't be touching it because it will be the doctor that's giving you that shot. So it's a do not touch message for that. And also medicine. So medicine can be healthy if you have some sort of sickness and you need it, but your parent or doctor or teacher, in y'all's case, will give that to them in the appropriate amount. They don't need to drink the whole bottle of cough medicine. That won't help them get healthy faster. They need to take the amount of their medicine. And then also talking about, if this is your mom's medicine, this isn't going to help you, it's going to harm you. So making sure they don't just try to take other people's medications as well and use that do not touch messaging. And then also medicine for illness versus substances and drugs that are harmful for their bodies, or used, even if it is medicine, but used improperly, can be harmful for the body. There's also, we'll bring in lots of different instances of a do not touch, so like a hot stove or even just a normal stove, because they don't know if it's going to be hot. So just reiterating that danger message, what can be dangerous around me, and I need to not touch those things. So there's a few activities with that. The danger symbol, like the little red with the cross through it, you can let them see a picture maybe in a book or even around the center and things that are dangerous to them, so they can begin identifying these things in their own environment. And then you can make a banner if you have magazines that they could cut up to put some things that might be dangerous onto this banner, and just again, reiterating the messaging of do not touch, what things are harmful, what things should I not touch that I might come across, so that when they do come across them, they know not to touch them. The next unit 10, it kind of stands alone as the stress and relaxation. So this helps the children understand the concept of what is stress, what does it mean to feel tense, because that's a word that they don't often feel. And then what does it feel like to be relaxed? So understanding, okay, I'm tight, I've got my whole body clenched up, and so that means I'm tense. And I can feel that way when I'm stressed, whether I'm stressed about something bad or something good. Those stressful moments come. But then now I take a few deep breaths, and now I'm relaxed. My body is calm. So that's what it feels like to be relaxed. So helping them see, we don't want you to be tight like this. We want you to be calm and relaxed in all times. And then to understand that drugs and alcohol are never a way to make you go from stress to relax. And so then it really focuses on ways to relax when they're stressed. So you can use, there's a go to sleep toes activity. So that's kind of a mindfulness activity where they lay on the ground, and one body part at a time you can go and go to sleep toes, and then you say go to sleep ankles. So they're kind of loosening each body part one at a time until they're really calm and relaxed, hopefully, at the very end. You can also incorporate yoga. I know the other Learn With Me that I was at, they already knew the yoga poses before I did. Their director was able to show us some of them. So if they don't know it already, or if they do, you can show them that yoga and stretching can be a great way to relax, and also those deep breathing moments. One thing that I like to do was this little starfish method. So your starfish has 5 points, just like your finger has 5, or you have 5 fingers on your hand. So you can use this. So you take your other hand, put it right at the middle, and then you're going to take 5 deep breaths. So when you breathe in, you go down your thumb, and you breathe out, you come back to the middle, and you breathe in and out 5 times. And it just helps them, it's very calming and relaxing. It kind of tickles them a little bit, but that helps them to so you can use that as like, go do your starfish, and if kids are upset or sad, that can help calm them down as well. So we really want this to be a way that kids can realize that they can calm down in the moment in your classroom or at home when things might not be going their way, to really bring them back down to relax. So incorporate things that you already have at your center. I know one of my centers, in the first cohort, they had a smell the flowers and blow out the candle was their way of taking deep breaths. So if you already have something like that, make sure that you're using that in this lesson so that the kids are making the connection between Halo and some of these stress management techniques you've been using in your classrooms already. Okay, the second to last unit is the healthy lifestyles focused on healthy eating. So this is when children will be able to identify healthy foods and how they affect the body, and is choosing healthy foods. So the key points are that different foods help fuel the body in different ways. So my lettuce helps fuel me in different ways than the chicken does. And so showing that we need to have variety and balance in our diets for our bodies to be healthy. And that certain foods are not helpful to the body. Like if we eat cheeseburgers and french fries for every meal, that's not going to be healthy for our body. So things with too much sugar and fat, we want to avoid those things as well. So you can use like a go food, slow food thing. So you can use that in a variety of ways. One of our teachers last cohort, she had them do a little bit of a dance party. So if she said something that was healthy, the kids got to dance really, really fast. And if it was harmful, then they had to slow down like they were a slow food. So there's lots of different ways you could have them come here to there. They could run for the go foods and slow down for the slow foods, and get across the room with several different food examples. You can also use the My Plate placemats. So this is in the back of your teacher resources sheet that you picked up over there. So it has the different breakdown of what a plate should look like, and how much fruit, how much vegetables, how much grain, protein, and dairy. So showing them this plate and what their plate should look like when they make their meals, and then practicing, okay, what could go in the protein? Could I have some eggs or some beans? It doesn't always have to be meat that they're eating. And then some examples of vegetables, green beans, peas, broccoli, those different types of things. So help them to practice making a healthy plate and a balanced plate that has all these different food groups on it. Then this cohort, we added a Very Hungry Caterpillar book. So you guys will actually be getting this as part of your kits this year for you to have in your classrooms to read this book. And so it goes through all the different healthy foods, but then it talks about, okay, I ate all of this food and now my stomach is upset. So even though there's some not so bad things in there, that too much of anything can be harmful. And you can also use this as a way to incorporate different fruits that the kids like, or if there's a new fruit that you have and you're able to offer it, you can kind of use that as a taste test, a way to tie that stuff into the Halo lesson as well. So like I said, you guys will be getting this book as part of your kits today. And then last but not least, we have the physical activity lesson. So it helps them identify that physical activity will help keep their body strong, it will help them grow bigger, and also to even think better. And so the kids should be exercising and using their whole body daily. And so you can practice fun ways for them to get physically active, even in the classroom. And then they also learn that aerobic activities are ones that are going to get their heart pumping even faster. And then there's strengthening activities that are going to make their muscles a little bit stronger. And then also a point in this lesson is to limit the screen time. So if you have the choice of playing on your phone or going outside on the playground, you should choose to go outside on the playground and enjoy that time, enjoy the fresh air, and then you're also moving around and getting that physical activity as well. So one thing I've done with this is I've had them just stand up and done kind of a mindfulness and imagination thing as well, but they can, we're like, well, I'll say, okay, we're off the bus, we just got to our field trip, but we're gonna climb this mountain, and so we're gonna just walk first. Oh, do you guys see the trees? Look at how pretty the trees are. Look at how pretty, do you guys see that monkey? And let the kids kind of respond and see what they are seeing on your field trip. But then, oh no, a bear comes, and now they have to run. So they're just staying in their one spot, but now they're running in place. And okay, we're at the mountain, we've gotta climb. And so even just climbing up in a short 3-minute thing, they're heavy breathing, their heart is pounding at the very end. So they don't need any extra space for that. They can just run, climb back down, run back to the bus, and then we safely made it home. So they get to have all of those different things in there, and just see how I don't need anything but as much space as is right around me. Even if it's raining outside, I could still be active inside. And then the other thing is the Cat in the Hat book. This is called Oh, the Things You Can Do That Are Good for You. You're also going to get one of these per classroom for your centers as well. And we found this, and it was just a great resource. It ties up the Halo lessons beautifully. It talks about how each kid is special. It talks about how they can get moving each day, whether that's skateboarding or playing catch. They talk about feelings and how it's okay that some people feel angry and some people feel sad, and we all feel those things at times, and that's okay, but it's important to talk to someone about it. So pretty much everything that I've just talked about in those 12 units of Halo is wrapped up in this nice little book. So we'll be giving you guys this as part of your kits today, so that you can read this and incorporate and show the Halo, reinforce those Halo lessons, even if you're not directly talking about it. The kids can pick it up and read it as well. So that is all 12 lessons. We made it through that portion. Are there any questions about anything that I talked about so far? I know it was a lot of, but if there's any questions, be glad to address them, or any concerns about any of them.
So this is very much what, for example, Sarah came and did with us.
Yes. And so that was part of what we're trying to do, is that we come in and show the teachers the Halo curriculum in lifetime, and then that way they can, now you all can go and bring this curriculum to your kids. And so we're just reviewing it, showing you the different things that have been going on for the past year, and now you guys will be responsible for that. Anything else? Okay, so we're going to show about a 10-minute video. This video was created by the Halo, so that Sarah was talking about. So this is from the national group that created Halo, their teacher training video. So we're just going to show you a short portion of it, but you'll get to see some of the transitions that the teachers use in their classrooms, and some of the things that go on in each of the lessons.
I'll let Kristen get it going. I just wanted to offer to you all, we preach to the kids no more than 30 minutes sitting without moving, and to adults no more than 60 minutes sitting without moving. So if you would indulge me and just stand up, shake it out a little bit, stretch your arms, stretch your feet, just take a deep breath, kind of let your blood get moving. We know we're asking, a lot of sitting, which may feel good because I know you're running around all day, but just shake it out a little bit for me, and we will keep on trucking. Thank you. All right.
Halo was designed to be taught in any childcare setting with children ages 3 to 6 years old. The unit should be taught consecutively throughout the Halo cycle. A Halo cycle starts with Unit 1 and finishes with Unit 12, and includes all of the lessons and activities for each unit, as well as the completion of any of the reporting forms that you will need. There is no required time frame to complete a Halo cycle. I encourage you to determine the timeline based on the pace best suited for you and your children. Some units may take more time than others, and you may want to incorporate even more activities in some lessons. It is important, however, that you schedule a devoted time for Halo. Don't wait too long between Halo times, or the children might not remember the previous discussions. A good balance is to address one lesson each week. If you find that your children need more time, adjust appropriately. On the same note, if your children are grasping concepts quickly, you may be able to cover even 2 lessons in 1 week. Before you move on to the next unit, review the learning objectives and be sure that the children are able to complete them. Doing so will help ensure that the students are ready for the next lesson. Next, we'll look at the Halo Learning Unit format in your program guide. We know that children learn best through repetition. This has been incorporated into Halo through the format of the lesson. Each lesson is made up of 4 sections. Always begin with Getting Started and end with Wrap It Up. The Getting Started section incorporates the Halo Music CD, finger plays, and the Halo Reminder. This section helps to transition the children from their previous activity to Halo. Getting Started is followed by Talk Time, a discussion about the topic of the unit. Make sure to involve and engage all of the children during the discussion. Ask questions and encourage their responses. Following that is a list of activities, which can be found after each lesson. The START activities are required as they are essential in reinforcing the objectives of the unit. The instructions and the materials for the activities can be found immediately following the lessons pages. Be sure to make the discussion and the activities fun and relevant to the ages of the children you're teaching. If the children are not cooperating with the discussion or the activities, be flexible and wrap up the lesson for the day. Come back and pick up the rest of the topic another day when the children are more engaged. Halo is meant to be fun. If the children are not engaged, they won't have fun and they will not enjoy Halo time. Finally, Wrap It Up serves as the lesson's closing section. A simple review of the concept taught, reviewing the healthy versus harmful recognition pictures, and the Halo Reminder close the lesson. Let's take just a moment to talk about the Halo Reminder and the healthy versus harmful recognition pictures. The Halo Reminder is a simple, fun, and interactive way to learn what HALO means. It engages the children in learning about health. While you are asking the children what each part of HALO means, remember to do the actions. You must serve as the enthusiastic role model for the children. I'd like to Kathy. She is the HALO teacher at Jenny's House Daycare in Council Bluffs, Iowa. She has invited us into her classroom to watch her teach HALO. Let's watch as she does the HALO reminder.
And what's HALO? And what's healthy? Choices! It makes you bigger, stronger, and better able to think. And what are alternatives? Choices. And what kind of choices do we want you to make? And who are the little ones? That's right.
The healthy versus harmful recognition pictures are used in the Wrap It Up section of the lesson. I encourage you to be creative when you use these pictures to help reinforce the concepts of healthy and harmful. Pictures include physical activity, foods, safety items, and drugs and alcohol. Remember, HALO focuses on the activities and the choices of the children. For instance, tobacco and alcohol are harmful for children, but adults may make decisions differently. Don't try to use all of the pictures during each lesson. Use about 5 or 6, and then rotate in some new ones as the children become more familiar with them. Please remember, though, to use the words healthy and harmful. It's very easy to substitute other words like good, bad, or even unhealthy. HALO works very hard to have a consistent message using the terms healthy and harmful, and those are the words that we use throughout the curriculum. This also helps you to explain some of the pictures that might be a little confusing when you use other words. As you look through the pictures, there may be some that are a little bit concerning. For instance, the needle. Many times, children know needles from the doctor's office. HALO touch message. The intent with this picture, as well as with the picture of the handgun, is that children should not touch these items, but tell an adult immediately if they find one. It's a message of safety and staying healthy. Another picture that can cause some concern is that of the prescription medications. Again, use a do not touch message. Medicine is healthy if a doctor gives it to you or instructs your parents or an adult to give it to you. It's not candy, and it must be left for adults to administer. These pictures, as well as some others, offer an opportunity to enhance the lesson by including further discussion or inviting other people into the lesson, such as doctors, nurses, police officers, or any others.
We're going to talk about these things towards the end, so we'll just let it.
Let's return to Jenny's House Daycare. We'll watch as Kathy teaches today's HALO unit. You're welcome to follow along in your program guide. Kathy will be teaching Unit 2, I Can.
Walk, walk, walk in a circle, walk, walk, walk in a circle, walk, walk, walk in a circle, walk in a circle now. Stand, stand, stand at the circle, stand, stand, stand at the circle, stand, stand, stand at the circle, stand at the circle now. Sit, sit, sit at the circle, sit, sit, sit at the circle, sit, sit. Sit at circle now. Friends, friends, 1, 2, 3. All my friends are here with me. You're my friend. You're my friend. You're my friend. You're my friend. Friends, friends, 1, 2, 3. All my friends are here with me. I am special. I am special. Look at me. You will see. A very special person, a very special person, that is me, that is me. Sometimes my hands are my side, sometimes behind my back will hide. See my hands move to and fro, shake them back. put them in my lap. And what's Halo? And what's healthy? It makes you bigger, stronger.
Did you notice that Kathy used the Halo songs and finger plays to help the kids transition from what they had been doing to Halo time and find their place within the circle? She immediately then moved into the Halo reminder.
Okay, so that's where we're going to pause it because the next into the actual lesson, but you guys are preschool teachers, so we know that you know how to follow a lesson and curriculum, but we just wanted to show you that transition time of bringing it from whatever's going on into Halo.
So I just wanted to pose a question to you before we move on, and I'll just recap the lesson structure, but just to get your kind of feedback, why the importance of teaching Halo or teaching these concepts in early care and education. Why are we teaching them so early to preschoolers? I know there's some thought of, you're talking about tobacco and drugs with 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 year olds. Just wanted to kind of get your feedback. Why do you feel that this is important, or do you feel that this is an important lessons to be teaching?
I'll give you an example. My mother used to smoke, and she left a cigarette just, off on the table. And I remember this, and I don't know if I was 4 or 5 years old, but I remember going and grabbing it. But had I known or something, I mean, I knew it wasn't okay to do, but created more awareness earlier on. That also helped me, I think, because I never want to feel like that again. But things like that I feel are really critical. Children are going to be exposed, especially now with a lot of technology, even more than before. So, I mean, obviously helping them find that is important.
Yes, thank you. Anyone else have thoughts why they think it's important, or any concerns about the importance?
I think for me, I am seeing an increase in the obesity rate of the children that we're having in preschool, to the point where, even the equipment that we have, the tricycles, are not supporting them. And I remember the first time I started at Norfolk State years ago, and the parents were allowed to bring, children were allowed to bring breakfast in. And this one little boy, his breakfast every morning was a Ziploc bag with bacon and syrup inside, and that was his comfort food. And needless to say, mom was obese, and he was obese, and her thing was food. Is, people are rewarding these babies with food, so seeing that, we had really, we really worked hard to change our policies, so. But we're seeing more of that. I had one little girl last year, when it was time for her outside, she would cry. And even when we finally got her outside, she would not run, she would not jump.
Wow.
Because, she was tired. And it was the family, they were all the same size, so,
Thank you.
I was just gonna say, to piggyback on what you were saying, is we have a summer program that's going on now, and we have the school agers in, and so they elect not to even go out. We had to force them, because they have some free time, and so it's a beautiful day, let's go out, and it was, we don't want to. I mean, they really did not want to go out and play, and so it was like pulling teeth to get them to go out and just enjoy the day.
Yes.
And going off of what she said about their eating habits, I know we work with the USDA now to work with their healthy eating, because not this past year, but my first year teaching there, we had a little girl who she would bring her lunch every single day, and all she would eat was chicken nuggets and chips and things that have a lot of sugar, and she ended up having to leave our center because she now has type 1 diabetes, and she has to have insulin 6 times a day, which we can't accommodate right now. So it's a growing problem amongst little children, and healthy choices that are supposed to be made by their parents aren't being made. So something we all have to work on.
Yeah, definitely, as a community, for sure. Anything else anyone wants to share? Yeah, I just wanted to hear from you all because you are obviously the ones on the ground there every day and seeing the challenges, and we know the challenges kind of from a data perspective, from a regional perspective, and we can see them in that quick snapshot that we're there. But just the importance of building those habits really early on. We know that things like obesity are generational. Even substance abuse, mental health concerns can be generational. And so looking at those things in terms of preventing them so early when kids are sponges and they're malleable, and we can mold them in a way that allows them to understand what a healthy choice is, so they don't pick up the cigarettes, so they look at their bacon and think, maybe I should have something healthier. My favorite stories are when we hear kids or parents telling us that their kid told them to put out their cigarette, or their kid told them they couldn't have cookies because cookies weren't healthy, and Halo told them they should have something different, or they could only have a little bit of cookies or candy. So those are good stories. You can kind of have, as young as they are, you can have these kids teaching the opposite way and teaching their parents or teaching their caregivers what healthy is. So early intervention is just really important to give that strong groundwork, strong skills as they go into adulthood so that they have that foundation. Okay, so they went in the video, you got to see kind of the structure of the lesson, and Kristen went through it as well. So we always start with the Halo reminder. We tell them it's Halo time. A lot of this, when they see us, they know that it's Halo time. So for you, it will be, you'll be the classroom teacher and you'll just let them know it's time for Halo. Normally they're able to recognize if they get excited about it. We remind them that Halo means healthy alternatives for little ones. We go through what is healthy. Healthy means bigger, stronger, better able to think, which is what the song promotes. Alternatives is choices. The little ones are them. We say you're bigger than you were when you were babies. You can do more things, but you're still not adults. So you're in this middle, so you're still the little ones. Then we have some talk time. We talk about what we're going to discuss for the day, whether it's stress or healthy eating. We have a little bit of conversation. We ask them some questions. I really like to make sure that Halo is didactic and also interactive. So the kids, they're 3 to 6 years old, so they don't have capacity to sit there for too long and just be talked to. So we, as much as we can, try and make sure we get them up and moving, even during talk time, if there's any opportunity for, interaction, for raising their hands and contributing, for moving, kind of splitting sides of the room or doing some partner activities, just any way you can get them to engage so that they're not just sitting, fidgeting, touching one another. And then we go into the formal activities, so whether it's doing a little science experiment, doing something with the organ apron, doing the face plates, that kind of gets them engaged and moving as well. And we'll talk more about the healthy and harmful cards. You saw them in the video, but I just want to go in depth on a couple of them. And then just to wrap it up, I like to wrap my lessons up with the Halo song again, just as kind of creates a bookend on the program. But there's different ways that you can choose to wrap it up, either with a little song or some sort of gesture that lets them know Halo time is over and we go on to the next activity.
I have a really quick
Yeah.
question. You would send emails with additional information for parents?
Yes.
Is that included also?
Yes, so Kristen will talk about that. We've compiled Google Drive for you all, which let us know if you cannot access it. But that way, or if you have trouble with Google at your center, but this way it's all online and it's by lesson. So you just click the lesson. There's the parent resources, the activity sheets for you if there's anything electronic we could put. There's best practices, what we learned while we were teaching. So it should be all right there by week, by lesson for you. But again, Kristen will show it to you and let you take a look. So again, just to reiterate the Halo reminder, healthy, bigger, stronger, better able to think. Alternatives is choices. The little ones are us. They're the children. Okay, so the healthy versus harmful cards. These are really good because they are an activity and they also help reinforce the lessons that we're talking about. So as the video said, there's a big stack of these cards and you don't want to go through all of them. With the older group, one time I think I did a rapid fire on our last day and had them go through all of them. But that's the only time. Otherwise, 5 or 6, a few more if you like, and just a mixture of different cards. And I just want to stress the importance of using cards that are appropriate for the lesson. So the first lesson, you're probably not going to pull out the needle, the shot, because we haven't really discussed it. They're not sure, is it healthy, is it harmful? But something like apples and oranges, we hope is a little bit easier to identify as healthy or harmful. So I'll play a little game with you all and let you see some of the easy ones that we might use. And then just ways to incorporate all discussion. So if you are showing them candy and we say healthy or harmful and they say harmful, you can say, what is something we can have instead of candy? What's an alternative to candy? Maybe something that tastes sweet but that isn't candy. And maybe it's a banana or a small orange or something like that that has a sweetness but it isn't candy. So getting them to understand that there's choices that they can make. And as we go through some of these cards, we have interesting responses to some of them. So again, I want to go in depth on a few of them to get you to see some of the responses that you might hear. And just remembering also that adults and children are going to make different choices. And so a lot of the kids will tell us, well, my mom does X, or my dad smokes, or my mom drinks wine. We hear that quite a bit. And so being able to address that effectively and say, well, we know that for us, as little ones, for our bodies, alcohol is always harmful. Wine is always harmful. Or, well, we have cookies. We say, yes, cookies are a great treat. They're, you can have them, I say, how much can you have? This much? Or can you have just a little bit of candy? And they say, just a little bit. They don't like it, but they know that they should only have a little. So being sure to address those issues when they say that dad smokes or mom drinks wine, to make sure that they understand that adults make choices, and that even though we know that that choice can be harmful, it doesn't make mom, dad, grandma, grandpa a bad person or adult. It just means that they're making a choice that we're not going to make. We know that that choice is harmful, but that doesn't make them love us less or make them a bad person. So let's talk a little bit, and again, because they like it, doesn't make it healthy. That sticks with the candy. So let's just go through a couple of the cards, and I want, if you'll indulge me, to just get you moving a little bit. So if it's healthy, could you stand up? And if it's harmful, sit back down. And we'll just make you move just for a minute. And this is what I do with the kids. Sometimes I make them go to different sides of the room. Sometimes I make them dance. Again, they have energy they like to get out. Okay, so first card. Healthy, good. Next card. Beer, harmful. Smoking, harmful, good. Healthy, good. Drinking water and physical activity, super healthy. Painting, good. Activity, stress relief, healthy. Candy, yeah, all different candy, harmful, good.
Sit down, Misty. Sit down.
Soda, harmful, good. I'm glad no one is standing up. Two more. Playing basketball with maybe a dad or an adult, healthy, awesome. And last one. Harmful wine for children. That's right. And that is where we get a lot of my mommy does it, my daddy does it, and we say, for children, can we have even a little bit of wine? No. Right? Yes. So we say adults can make those choices. Children, it's really harmful to our bodies. Okay, so I just want to make sure that we talk about some of these cards to note, as we call them. So, challenged us to think about some of the things that we're showing them. So this is juice. So some of our children have said juice is harmful. Juice is not healthy. We say if it's 100% fruit juice, which is likely what you're getting at your center, that juice can be healthy. We can't drink juice all the time because it does have a lot of sugar, but it also has some vitamins and minerals that are good for us. So if your kids are not so sure about juice, we've let kids give us a middle on juice, that it's kind of a so-so. So we don't force them into healthy or harmful on this one. Another one, milk. Milk is pretty undeniably healthy. We get some comments about chocolate milk and flavored milk. So those milks with sugar are not that healthy. White milk is very healthy, good for our bones, good for our development. You do have some kids that might be lactose intolerant and they say it's not healthy. Sure, in those very specific instances, you can have almond milk or a milk alternative. Generally, milk is healthy. And our Learn With Me kids challenged us a lot this season. Okay, the next one, this is on the Bonita Bunny assessment, it's going to tell you bread is a healthy choice, which we agree. We think bread, particularly wheat bread, whole wheat, grains are healthy choices for kids. But this card bothers me because it's white bread and it looks like a croissant. It looks like a pastry. So we have changed this card. You still have it, but Kristen has put a printout of a loaf of wheat bread in your kit. We would just encourage you to tape it right onto this one. So that way you're encouraging bread as a healthy choice, but this bread, again, to me, doesn't appear healthy. And some of our kids have called us out on it. Oh, so there it is. So this is what you now have, your bread replacement. Okay, a couple of others to note. This one of children playing video games. So a lot of the kids will say, yes, fun, healthy, they love it. What we want them to understand is that they can play video games, they can relieve their stress, but not for, all day long, right? A short amount of time. If they play for 10 or 15 minutes and then they go play outside. And we just try and take, same thing with the phone. What I try and do is I try and take it to the extreme. So what happens if you play video games or you play on your phone all day long and you do nothing else, you don't go outside, you just keep playing? And then they're kind of like, well, I don't know what that would be like. And you say to them, you're not getting any physical activity, you're not eating any healthy food, it's not good for your body. And then they start to get it once you've brought it to that extreme level. Then we have the family eating dinner, what looks like in front of the TV. It's a little complicated. So this one, again, gets a little complicated with the kids. We try and tell them that it's important to eat together with your family at a table where you can talk, to not eat distracted in front of the TV. You'll taste your food more. We also understand that they are children and that the family, parents or guardians, are probably promoting the way in which they're eating, but we think we can still have that conversation with them. And again, same thing here. I'm not sure how old they are, but they might be sitting a little close, maybe watching a movie. Parents aren't really paying attention. So this card gets kind of weird responses from the kids. They're not sure what's going on. So if I do show this card, I just tell them maybe there's a different thing they can be doing, a different choice they could make. They could be playing with toys. They could be doing a puzzle. They could be doing something outside, something else interactive together other than sitting on the couch. We talked, and you saw in the video, about the needle, the syringe. So important for them to understand that this can be healthy when it delivers medicine at the doctor's office, but harmful if you see it anywhere else, and that do not touch concept if you see it anywhere else. So this is kind of one of those that could go either way, but they need to understand the difference based on the environment that it's in. Same thing with medicine. Medicine can make us really healthy if we're sick. It can be something that we need if it comes from, we stress, from a doctor, a parent, or a teacher, if your parent gives it to that teacher. But otherwise, if you see it laying around, if it's someone else's, again, that do not touch concept. This one I have had a difficult time with. So this is a little baggie of drugs, I would imagine. And so just making sure that you show a card like this during the unit where you're discussing drugs and alcohol and tobacco, that you're not just flashing it to the kids and kind of having a halfway discussion. So they really understand this might be drugs. If you see it on the ground or you see it somewhere, don't touch it. Just don't touch it. Go tell an adult. Okay, and then the last one, same thing with the gun. So I like to make sure that I have time to discuss this card rather than just showing it along with the oranges and apples and showing a gun. I like to make sure that we can really talk about it and say, is this healthy or harmful? Where might we see this? We might see this on an officer in uniform. And what does it mean in that case? Is it healthy or harmful? Should we be scared of that? Or is that person there to protect us? And then same instance, if we see it at home, sitting on a nightstand, do we touch it? Is it okay that it's there? Should we touch it? Should we leave it alone and tell an adult? So understanding when it can be helpful and healthy and when it can be very harmful, and in any case, never to touch it. But I think the gun deserves a little bit of discussion. Particularly now, we've had some comments from the kids around keeping them safe at school, and what if someone comes in with a gun, and they really want to talk about these concepts. So I think just to talk with them about it if that's something you're ready for, and potentially what your policy is at the center. So if you have a lockdown policy, without scaring the kids, and we really try and reinforce that they should never have to deal with any of this, and that there's so many adults around them to protect them that they shouldn't have to worry about how to keep themselves safe. The adults in the room will keep them safe, but if what you're asking, did occur or does occur, this is what we would do. We would lock the doors, the teachers would protect you, etc. We would call law enforcement, whatever it is. So I just wanted to kind of prepare you that those are some of the comments that we're getting from kids as we teach. So just to have thought about it before you go in with some of these cards that are a little more touchy. Okay. I think I've gone through them all. Just a couple of ones I wanted to show you that go back with do not touch. The stove. So again, do not touch. Can be healthy because it helps you cook your food, but we don't touch it. Same thing with a pocket knife, utility knife. Lots of people may have it. We don't touch it. And then same thing, alcohol, cleaning products. Cleaning products can be healthy, keep your house clean. We don't touch them, don't drink them. Unless we're helping mom or dad or grandma and grandpa and we're explicitly told that we can help, do this one thing, we don't touch these products. And then same with alcohol that may be on the shelf at our house, we just don't touch it. Okay, questions on those cards? Okay, awesome. Kristen.
Alrighty, so we are going to now start talking about the Bonita Bunny assessments. So I showed you the little booklet beforehand, and you guys will get one of these in your curriculum kits. But this is how we get the data for Halo. So it helps us to understand where the kids are and what they've learned throughout Halo. So this assessment takes about 10 minutes to do. It asks questions along the way that are directly related to Halo. So I just opened to a page and it's asking about whether they feel happy, mad, or scared. So going back to those feelings, it asks them questions about which are the healthy foods, which are the healthy drinks, what can the bunny do to relax, can we show the bunny the different organs in their body. So all of these things that are in the different units come up in this one assessment book. So children complete a pre-assessment before Halo begins and should complete a post-assessment after so that we can compare the knowledge gain that they've had throughout the program. So each child should have a chance to take the Bonita Bunny assessment for the pre and the post. We know that on certain days, not all of the kids are there, but we do need at least 75% of the children in each of your classes to be completing the assessment before and after the Halo implementation. So for those of you who have been our year one sites that we came in last year and taught, we will help you complete the pre and post assessment. So just give Tiara a call or Sarah a call about the time that you're ready to start Halo. They'll come in the week before with either themselves or with their volunteers to get through all of the kids and help you facilitate those activities. But for the independent sites, you guys will be responsible for getting those 75% of that Bonita Bunny data and then sharing that with us as well. So for the pre and the post, just be in contact with Tiara and Sarah about when you might need volunteers to come in. And then the assessments can be done while you're teaching whatever lesson is going on, while the kids are playing outside. Whatever's going on, the assessments can be happening at that time. So we just wanted to share our data. This is fresh off the press because we just finished our post-assessments on Thursday with our third cycle of centers. So this is an overview of what we've seen over the past year. So you can see here the assessment and the blue is the post-assessment, so broken down by the age of the classroom. So the younger threes there, you see there was 23 pre's, 27 posts, but you can see all of the different ages of the classrooms there. So we had the most in that 3 to 4 range, and then also the kindergarten age as well. So we did about 200, a little under 250 pre-assessments, just over 200 post-assessments over the past year. So this is the data overview for all classes and all ages. So all the children that were in Halo this year, we see the pre-assessment here, so you can see the total. They knew about 44.5 or 0.6% before they started Halo. The post you can see here, they ended with about 73%. of all of the information in the Halo assessment, and then the difference there is just under 30%. So we broke it down by the general Halo knowledge, the healthy lifestyles, the feelings, the body organs, stress and relaxation, and then healthy choices. And so you can see the change from the pre to the post, and that difference is in that third column. So you'll see this table over the next broken down by the age groups. So first up is our 3-year-olds. So these were the youngest kids. They were just turning 3 or had just turned 3 when we were coming into their lessons. So you see they had about, I lost my clicker, there we go. So they started with about 25%, ended at about 44%, and that difference is just under 19%. So like Sarah talked about at the beginning, this group saw the least amount of improvement. And it might be that some of the topics were just a little too abstract for them, but they would probably benefit from the next year, the next cycle of Halo, learning more and being able to build on the knowledge that they did get. But they are learning. They still had a 20% difference, which we're really excited about. So they are understanding those things, and especially the Halo knowledge and the organs, they really knew a lot more at the end than they did at the beginning. Next are our 3 to 4-year-olds, so the older 3s that had just turned 4 as well. So they were our second youngest group. So they started with about 38% of their pre-assessment, ended at 67%, and they hit about 29% of improvement over the course of Halo. So like the 3s, they had the biggest increase in their body organs and their general Halo knowledge as well. So this next one is for the 3 to 5-year-olds, so that's where they had a mixture of kids that were 3 to 5. So they started out with about 41%, and they ended at 78% with about a 37%, almost 40% increase in knowledge over that course. So they showed the most improvement in their body organs again, and their healthy lifestyles as well. The next up is our pre-K, so they're that 4 to 5 age range. They started with about 47%, ended at about 80%, and just over 30% increased difference. And so we're really happy to see how well they did, especially at this bottom one, the healthy choices. They had about 96% of those talking about the do not touch and the danger, and the drugs and alcohol questions that are in the book. They had about 96% correct in that. So we're really excited to see how well they're doing in these areas. And then last are our kindergartners. So they started, you see, as almost at 60%. So they knew a lot more naturally than any of those other kids did. And they ended at about 84%, and they still had about 25% increase in knowledge throughout the program. So they had the most improvement, again, in those body organs and that general Halo knowledge. So this next graph, it's probably hard to see in your printout, but it just shows you everything that I just talked about, that those last line totals there for each of the different classrooms. And so you can see the assessment score, the blue is the post-assessment scores, and then you can see the difference in those scores is the gray bar. So the 3-year-olds had the lowest difference. The kindergartners also had a smaller difference than most of them, but they were already starting so high that they were able to understand and improve, but they were hitting the maximum at some of those categories. And then you could see, so that 3 to 5 and the pre-K really absorbed so much of the Halo curriculum. See that as well. So that is the data, and so that's why we want to emphasize this, because that helps us to see, okay, this program is working, these kids are learning these concepts. Even the little 3-year-olds that sometimes were a little bit spacey, they were learning and understanding this. So it's encouraging for us to see that. And as we continue, we hope to see more improvements in those kids, and especially those little 3s continuing to learn and grow now that they're going to be turning 4, getting a little bit older, a longer attention span. We'll be able to see these differences continue to improve. So the next section, we're just going to talk about just a few things about talking with parents and children about topics that come up in Halo. So the first, we're going to focus on the children, And Sarah touched on some of these, but we're just going to talk about some of the things that have come up over time with the Halo program. So the first one is, but I love chips and cookies and candy. And yes, we know that you do love all of those things, but just because you like something does not make it healthy. Just because you don't like something does not make it harmful. So anytime that you can, reinforcing that liking and healthy are not the same thing. Not liking and harmful are not the same thing. And that comes up with a lot of different things: cheeseburgers, french fries, video games. It can be applied to all sorts of they might have. But again, just reinforcing, we're talking about what is healthy, what's going to help you grow bigger and stronger and better able to think, and what are those things that aren't going to do that. The second one is, well, my parents drink soda with every meal, or any type of unhealthy behavior. And again, we're encouraging the children to make the choice for themselves. So we know that soda is not healthy for their bodies, so they can choose to drink water or to drink milk, something that's going to be healthy for their bodies. And they can even talk to their parents and say, hey, Mom, maybe you should have a drink of water this time, and try to encourage that in their families as well. These kids will talk to their parents. So, if we can encourage that in any way, then we want to, even if it doesn't, at least they're getting that messaging and they're making that choice for themselves to make the healthy choice. The next one is, well, my mom or dad smokes or drink alcohol all the time. We got that question a lot. And again, with that, Sarah talked about it with the cards, but alcohol and drugs are harmful for the little ones. They should never be using those things. And just because a parent chooses them does not mean that they as a little one can have it. And just because a parent chooses them doesn't make them a bad person, but that's their choice that adults can make. So really trying to differentiate between the little ones choosing that is harmful always, adults choosing that's their choice. So just continuing to reinforce that in all situations. The next one is that active shooter conversation that Sarah mentioned with the cards. We were surprised by that coming up, but it was something that the kids brought to our attention. So we just want you guys to be aware and maybe think through with your staff of how you would address that if when you're showing the gun that comes up, whether it's sharing the protocol or just what ways are you going to address that. Just be mindful that the kids, even though they're that young, they do know and they have seen these things, unfortunately. So just be prepared in however you're going to best address that for your center. Just know that is a topic that may come up with the kids. 5 and 6, we just want to encourage you to incorporate Halo into your classroom management. So when you're looking at conflict resolution, see how you might be able to either show what you're doing in your classroom when you're talking about it during Halo talk time, or vice versa, a strategy they learned in Halo, incorporate that into your classroom with the conflict resolution. And then also the encouraging healthy strategies to manage emotions and stress. So if you already have a calm down technique, make sure you're showing that with the kids during the Halo lesson so they're able to make things you've already been teaching them and they've been learning with the Halo concepts that you're bringing to them, so that they all go together and reinforce and help them grow physically and emotionally and socially as well. So next is talking with adults about tobacco use. So this does come up naturally as part of Halo because we are showing them these things. And so a child might tell you, oh, well, my mom smokes all the time. Or you might smell a parent coming in that smells like tobacco. So we would encourage you to take advantage and, try to have a conversation with them. Just make sure that you're kind and considerate with these things if there is a concern that you want to bring up with either a parent or even your staff. Their mindset and where they're coming from is going to be a little bit different than you. But you can provide educational materials for them, as well as cessation resources. So showing them why smoking is harmful, especially when it comes to why children. Parents might be a little bit more receptive to that if they truly understood what harm they're bringing to their child with that secondhand and third-hand smoke especially, which we talked about in the teacher training that we had at the end of May, the dangers. So if you want to brush up on that before you have those conversations, that might be a good place to start. So you can encourage them to not smoke around their children or anywhere that their children might be. So even in their car or in their home when no one's home, that third-hand smoke can still linger there and cause harm for the child. So the more education you're able to provide those parents and encouragement, hopefully the more receptive they'll be. And we also have used smoke-free ride pledges for smoke and vape-free home and car. So you can encourage them, if you're not going to stop smoking, maybe consider stopping where your child ever might be. So if that's at home, your car, or grandparents' house, staying away from those areas when you're smoking can be good. And then also just letting them know that it's not too late to quit tobacco. Some people are like, well, I've been smoking for 30 years and I'm not going to make a difference. This next chart shows you that it's never too late to start. Your body immediately starts making changes after you're stopping using cigarettes. So you can see here, 20 minutes after quitting, your blood pressure decreases. 48 hours, your nerve endings start to regenerate, and you can smell and taste things better. So 2 days, you're already. 1 year, the added risk of heart disease declines to half that of a smoker. And then at 15 years, your risk of heart disease and smoking-related death is now similar to someone that never smoked. So it's not too late for these parents to make the changes to stop smoking and stop using that tobacco. Okay, so that is all of the formal training. The next thing that we want to show you is this Halo teacher dashboard. And so this is the outward-facing Google Drive that Sarah talked about. So I'm going to come and kind of talk from over here for a few minutes. But we just want to show you what we created, and we'll be sending a link out so that you guys can see and get to it from your. And like Sarah said, if you have any issues getting onto Google at your center, just let us know and we'll try to accommodate and make it however we need to so that you guys can get that information. So this is what it looks like. You can see at the top left, there's Bonita Bunny assessments, there's staff training, and then you see all of the individual units 1 through 12 there. So the Bonita Bunny assessments, if you open that up, it has a blank scoring sheet for you. It has a copy of the Bonita Bunny guide if you needed like a electronic version when you're doing your assessments there. And then it also has an introduction letter that should be sent home to parents introducing Halo. So that's the Bonita Bunny assessments. You also have a staff training, so you can go back to the Halo tobacco training from May, and then there's a slide deck as well. So you can watch the video and use the slides from here. And that's where we talked about the secondhand and thirdhand smoke, so you can revisit that if you'd like more information or would like to train new staff that are coming on with that. Then the rest of it is pretty straightforward. So you see the units that are there. You can open one up and it will have the files that are related. So these are the additional activities there. So they're in your book, but we made them electronic, so if you need to print out copies, it can be a little bit easier than having to pull out the book copies for your staff. So those are there, and then you also have resources to send home to parents. So we had a volunteer who created these little sheets. They're one for every other lesson, and so it just talks about, this is what we talked about in Halo, and this is what you can use at home to reinforce the lesson. So she tried to pick some of the activities that needed a little less resources and materials so that hopefully any and all families are able to incorporate them in their homes. So those are there, as well as any materials that are needed for that. Then there's also the parent letter in English, and then there's also a Spanish parent letter as well for any who might have Spanish-speaking families at their centers. So the unit looks the same, but it should be pretty much a one-stop shop for anything that you need. The resources that we were sending home with you all via electronics, they will be in here as well. Let me see if I can find a unit that has some, just so you can see. Yeah, so the families unit has a lot because a lot of our partners that we're working with are And so it has to do with families, so we put them in this category. So there's some boosting in the back seat, about using booster seats and car safety for the children, as well as some sleep tight information about putting the baby alone back in their crib when they're sleeping. So those different materials that we sent home with you all during the first year are here and able to be sent home during that unit with the resources for the parents. So does that make sense? You'll definitely see it, but it's pretty straightforward. We tried to have what you might need in your classroom and then what you can send home to your parents. And this is something that can be updated, so as TR takes over, if there's more information, even if we didn't send it home with you year one, we can add it in there and you will have it for your parents and be up to date with that for the next year. One thing that we're working on finalizing, but it's in here for now, is this best practices document. And this can be edited by anyone, so right now it's all compiled into all of the units are in one, but we're gonna break it down so that each unit, it will be in its assigned folder with the best practice. So it just goes over some of the things that we learned. It has some of the activities that I mentioned that are not exactly from the book, but that we used and really helped reinforce the Halo lesson, so that you're able to see that and go back to it as a teacher. And then if you want to add anything, like you tried something and it worked great and it wasn't necessarily in the book, you can share that, and this Google Drive will be updated for everyone. They can all see what's improving and what's going well, and then also any weaknesses. If at Children's Learning Paradise you did it in the fall and you had trouble with one of the units, you could type it in there. And then if Children's Harbor did it in the spring, they can look at it and say, oh, they had issues with that. I was thinking about doing it, but I might modify it now that I know that that part didn't go so well. So we'll just try to continue to make improvements. And this way you guys can learn from each other and what you're doing that's going well and not so well in some cases. So right now it's a very long document with all of the different units in it, but like I said, we're gonna break them down, and so they'll be in each unit. You'll have a best practices guide right there in front of you to just give you ideas and information that feel free to update with what worked well at your center and what maybe didn't, so that you guys can continue to learn and adapt to the kids that you're teaching. So that's all for the dashboard. We'll send out that link. And that is the end of what we have. But we just want to know, do you guys have any questions concerning, now that you've seen everything that we have to offer you today? Are there any hesitations? Are you excited? Just try to get your feedback going forward.
It's nice to be able to have everything, and then the kids, that's awesome, so.
Good.
Aligns well with what you were trying to also do in terms of healthy and feelings and social and emotional, so.
Yeah, good. Do you have any, do you feel confident in your ability to teach the curriculum in your centers with your students? Okay. This is kind of our way of, the way we, like Kristen said, organize the program, our way of going in and teaching the first time to kind of try and model, and then allowing you all as the experts and the ones that know your kids best to then take it and run with it. We provide you the materials, and we sit here kind of as a backbone if you ever need us. Give us a call. We'll come out to you, we'll talk to you on the phone, whatever you need, if you're missing materials or if you're having trouble with the units, but to really allow you all as the experts in early ed to run with this curriculum. So we so appreciate you taking on the challenge and being here.
I would just say maybe to reiterate more of the part of the teachers. I mean, I know they were paying attention, but hey, you're gonna be doing this soon.
Yeah.
So make sure that you're, really.
That they know that from the start.
Yeah. Kind of setting that expectation up front, just to, and not just maybe once, but just a reminder, because there's so many things going on that you kind of forget, oh yeah, I will be doing this, so.
Yes.
That's really good.
Yep, that's a great point. Yeah, any other last comments or questions? Okay. And we have kits for you, obviously. We're really excited. We bought kits with our grant, and then we had someone who sits on one of our working groups. Their organization really liked the program, and they bought us a bunch of additional kits. So at first we thought we were gonna have to have people rotate and get them across sites, but we are really excited that we have a kit for everybody now. So the kit is yours. with the expectation that you will implement the Halo program and that you will allow us to come in and help you with the pre and post assessment, or that you'll send us the data from the pre and post for those independent sites. And for the sites that aren't independent, again, we're happy to come in and help you because we know it's a lot of manpower. If you would like to do them on your own, you're more than welcome, but we're also more than happy to come help you with that effort. So again, they're yours, just with the expectation that you'll continue to implement the program with fidelity the way that it should be.
And with the kits, there is just a bit of housekeeping on our end from EVMS. So you should have gotten a sheet with your center name, the address, and your phone number. Hopefully they're all right, they should be. But at the very bottom, it's just a confirmation the kit up and you're receiving it, as well as the books. So you should, underneath the kit, you should see the Very Hungry Caterpillar book, and then the Things That Are Good For You book. And those should be one per classroom. So if we taught in one classroom, then you should have one of each. If we taught in 3 classrooms, you should have 3 of each. So just please print your name, sign, and date, just confirming that you are receiving those materials, and they're all already in bags for you. And then we also have a little certificate for you that just says you're certified to teach Halo. It's framed for you, so if you'd like to put that up in your center, because you completed the training and now you guys are ready to go out and to implement this program in the future.
Yeah.
Will there be any additional follow-up, like 6-month checkup or something like that?
Yeah, so we plan to, is it 6 months from now, or at the, maybe, I think 6 months from now. So the hope is that after you've, we did it in cohorts. So some of you were this summer, some of you were in September, in the fall. You can implement the program at whatever point in the year. If you want to do it starting in September and kick it off, that's fine. You don't have to wait until the point where we came in to do it. But after you've done that independent implementation, we expect to have touch with you for the pre and the post assessment. So we'll kind of get a feel there. But after you're independent, we plan to touch base again formally and just see how it went, talk about your data, make sure you have the resources. But obviously, like I said, if you need us at any point in between, just give us a call. We're here to help you. But formally, definitely after you have gone through.
And outside of the formal curriculum, there's also some follow-up with the policy pieces and the materials at your centers, things like that, that will be happening. So Tiara and Sarah will be in touch about those things as well.
Yeah. And you'll notice Tiara's contact information on there also. So you have mine. Kristen will be off studying, working, researching, and Tiara will be your new kind of on-the-ground point of contact. Okay. So we will let you all have your time back, and we'll give your kids. Thank you guys for coming out. I know how difficult it is to get away.
And so we'll trade you with kids for your science.